Well, hello there, everybody. We are back, and welcome to a brand new and so live edition of On to the Next One. Surprise, y'all. We're here. We told you to get those picks in following UFC Long Island. We said last week we would go live after just the horrible way that this past Sunday show came to an end, at least the original version, because my power went out on a beautiful day for no friggin' reason. And then we had to re-record the show. And I said, you know what? We're just going to pop up and go live at some point. And here we are. So hopefully you're around, or you can watch it after the fact. But we had an emotional ride at UFC Long Island, some early day MMA. And I'm excited to talk about things from a matchmaking perspective. So I am Mike Heck, and joining me as always on this adventure, the co-host, the co-matchmaker, the Prince of Positivity. Damn it. He's my best friend too, Mr. Alexander K. Lee. Hello, AK.
My best friend, what a pleasure to be recording. After dark tonight. This is it is what, 9 o'clock, about 9 o'clock Eastern time right now, 6 o'clock for you West Coasters, and some other time for you. Okay, I'm on Long Island. That's right. For you folks out there in other countries who tend to tune into the show, or just listening to the podcast later. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, this is super exciting. And speaking of disappointing endings, Mike, I mean, we had a little bit of a disappointing ending tonight. The UFC Long Island card. Certainly, mostly disappointing, of course, for Brian Ortega. A little disappointing for Yair Rodriguez, I'm sure. And very disappointing for everyone watching, especially those who hoped that Saturday's main event would give us some sort of clarity as to what could be next for Alexander Volkanovski. Now, maybe it did in a different way, but I guess we'll get to that, and we'll see if the listeners have their own ideas what to do with this featherweight title picture now.
I got the hat on. This type of show, we like to let our hair down, or in my case, I can't do that. So we just throw the Red Sox hat on. Plus it's 585 degrees in here. So I don't want to show you how sweaty I really am, but let's go ahead and talk about that main event. As sad as it was, Yair Rodriguez gets the win. It goes down as a first round TKO victory over Brian Ortega. But if you didn't watch the fight, you may not know the story, because this was a shoulder injury to Brian Ortega. It was sort of a freak accident, not the way any of us, including Yair Rodriguez, wanted this fight to end. But alas, that is how it did. And now Yair finds himself in an interesting spot because, AK, we said something very consistent and very constant throughout the entire build of this fight. A Yair win likely gets him a title fight against Alexander Volkanovski, but we didn't think in a million years that it would happen like this. So is that still the plan? A title fight for Yair Rodriguez against the great champion Alexander Volkanovski? Or are we doing something else here?
I don't think I can give Yair the title shot like this. It's kind of a weird situation. Yeah, it's something we just didn't expect, like an injury ending. Again, so much of at least my sort of analysis going into this fight was like, Yair needs to prove to me that he can beat a top, like an elite welterweight. Featherweight. I called him like a welterweight in my preview too. I don't know what's going on there. My predictions. An elite featherweight. And really dominate them, because his first time against Frankie Edgar, of course, he's a younger guy, wasn't ready. Zombie, a fight he was probably going to lose, and yes, he won one of the greatest finishes in MMA history, but certainly not a win that's had you saying he's definitely an elite guy. And then between that and the Max Holloway fight, just a one fight with Jeremy Stevens, a lot of inactivity. There's a beat fight, unfortunately, never materialized. That was out of his control. And then he looked good against Max Holloway, looked very good, but also clearly lost that fight. So this was supposed to be, man, if he can put it on Brian Ortega, we know he's a legit top 5 guy. I'll tell you now, he won. So for me, he will take Brian Ortega's spot in my rankings. But I mean, that's just because I think it's the easiest way to do it. I would understand if people didn't agree. I'm in the camp that he was initiating sort of an offensive grappling maneuver that led to the injury. So call it a submission, call it a TKO due to injury, which is the official result. But I do feel like he did something to cause the win, even if it was a fluky thing. And I don't even know if he could recreate that moment if he wanted to. So no, I'm not going with giving him Volk. I'm all in on Volk fighting the winner of now the just announced today Charles Oliveira Islam Makhachev vacant lightweight title fight. And also, Dana White said at the post-fight press conference that as far as he knows, Volkanovski might also need time off to deal with a hand injury, to get a treated hand injury. So, yes, it might suit Volk best just to take his time off and wait for the winner of the lightweight title fight.
Yeah, and we were talking about this sort of internally, like who was the biggest winner of this whole situation? Was it Yair? Was it Josh Emmett? Was it even, I mean, there's a number of people it could be, but you can make a strong case, and I actually agree with Jed on this, that Alexander Volkanovski was the big winner in all this because he has a lot of options in front of him right now. And for the first time really in his title run, he is in the driver's seat more than he has ever been, honestly. He could probably call the shot himself right now since there is no clear-cut number one contender. He could probably choose any of the guys that are in the conversation right now, whether it be Yair Rodriguez or Josh Emmett, or even, yes, I'm going to say this name, Henry Cejudo, should Volk want to go that route. Now, if Volk's just like, hey, Henry, let's go, the UFC's going to entertain that idea. But like you said, the other shot he could call, should the dominoes fall into place after he recovers from the hand injury, says he's going to be out for about 12 weeks, he could go up to 55, fight the winner of Oliveira versus Makhachev, which, like you said, was made official during the broadcast for UFC 280. So just a lot of options. But I tend to lean towards kind of the latter right now because I just don't think any of the three featherweight options excite him even a little bit. So it's Yair versus Josh Emmett. Winner's the number one contender. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if you want to slap an interim title on that bad boy, fine by me.
Yes.
But that's the fight. It seems pretty easy. If they put the interim title on the line or not, I don't care. This is the fight. I would like to see the interim title solely because it gets both these guys a couple extra dollar signs, couple extra zeros on the paycheck. I care more about that because it makes no sense to do an interim title, but this is just a glorified number one contender fight. It's a interim title. They'll make more money. So for that, let's just do that fight. Let's just settle it that way.
I'm with you on this one, Mike. So I think, could we do a Friends Forever, or is this too obvious?
Yeah. Friends Forever. There you go. I don't want to demonetize this live. But
perfectly timed. Perfectly timed, too.
Beautifully done.
No rehearsal. Perfectly timed. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to go. And that is something Dana White agreed to as an option. He didn't bring it up himself. He was asked about it post-fight press conference, and then he's just like, yeah. He's like, I don't hate it. So now it's a little far to say that he suggested it, and he's aiming for an Emmett Yair Rodriguez interim title fight, but certainly a fight now that is in the dialogue. It has been mentioned, and if it happens, nobody should be surprised, and it makes a lot of sense. So Emmett, you may get your title shot after all.
Now, normally in a type of situation like this where we are live, coming off a big event, we would, matchmake for Brian Ortega as well. However, with the situation, with the unknowns, with the shoulder injury, out of respect for Mr. T-City, we will not do so. We will wait till he is cleared, and then we'll discuss matchmaking options for him as we head to the co-main event. Amanda Lemos was part of just a wonderful moment of sportsmanship, AK, and a bonus-winning submission victory over Michelle Waterson-Gomez. Great bounce-back win after that tough submission loss to Jessica Andrade. This, to me, AK, was really easy. Tisha Torres is my pick. Coming off of the tough loss to Mackenzie Dern, there are a lot of people who thought Tisha Torres beat Mackenzie Dern at UFC 273. That is not what shows in the record books. Mackenzie Dern going on to fight Yan Xiaonan in the main event. I believe it's October 1st or sometime in October. But I think that fight makes perfect sense. Lemos, where she's at in the rankings, she'll probably jump up a little bit. And then I think right in front of Waterson Gomez in the UFC rankings. They're not the rankings that truly matter like ours, but I think Torres is like right there. So I think it's the right and the proper step up. Your thoughts? You're muted. You're muted.
First, I want to address a comment. Santi Tiago in the comments saying Waterson never had a chance. She won the first round on 2 of the 3 judges' scorecards. So that's a pretty ridiculous statement. Now, again, I mean, she did win. She did, actually. She did. You're right. We were all saying if this goes to the cards, this is a very good chance she finds a way to steal a split decision. So we were on our way. She already had the judges divided. And I think I scored the first for Lemos. So when I saw those cards, I was like, okay. I'm like, oh, this definitely could have gone really bad for Lemos. So amazing performance for Lemos, by the way. She really did need that finish. She hadn't had a finish in a bit. Of course, coming off a very tough loss to Jessica Andrade, which Jessica Andrade beats everybody, so certainly no shame in that. So I went a different direction. I had to do a little bit of sort of reconfiguring because I initially wanted Rose Namajunas to fight Mackenzie Dern, but that was before the Yan Xiaonan Dern fight was booked. So Rose Namajunas is free now. I'm kind of throwing Lemos back to the wolves now. I'm thinking because who is Rose Namajunas going to fight? She's not getting the Esparza rematch. That's not happening. There's no third Joanna fight. Not that I don't want to do that because Joanna's retired. There's other big fights for Rose for sure, but Tisha Torres was my first choice, Mike. So we almost had a Friends Forever moment back to back. But I'm kind of convinced with Lemos again, even though I'm like one of her biggest skeptics. I don't know how high her ceiling is. The Rose fight would go a long way to, once again, prove me wrong. She certainly proved me wrong tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being unprofessional, but my phone's ringing. I got to take this. Hello? I'll tell him. Marina Rodriguez just called and she said, "How dare you, AK? How dare you?"
Can Marina just get a title shot though? Can Marina just is she not locked into a title shot? Can we just give her the title shot?
She's not going to get it. Carl's going to fight Zhang and we got to go from there.
Marina wait?
Marina's got to fight somebody.
Can Marina just wait and get the winner of that fight? Why does she have to keep fighting?
I mean, what if Andrade comes out and fights somebody else at 115 and wins? Because that is now an option, as we'll probably talk about a little bit later on. But maybe she does that. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she comes up later on in the program.
Well, waiting for Rose is a whole other thing, though. Rose just does not fight that often. So that's a whole other thing.
Yes. Yeah, she does. She does save me on speed dial. She's listening to the program. She knows what's happening now.
Always tunes in.
Yeah, she wants to know where she stands. And she knows she's got to watch this program and she'll know where she stands. But let's move to the welterweight division because Li Jingliang made me look like a damn genius, AK. He made me look like a genius because if you recall in the People's Pre-Fight Show, we were making our predictions. I believe you called the Lemos. Did you call the No, you called Watterson. I thought you nailed something on the money, and I think we'll get to that.
That's coming up.
Yeah, that's right. Now I figured it out. I remembered. But I called the shot. Both of you guys said King of Kung Fu is going to get it done. And I said second round knockout for Li Jingliang. He was going to become the new King of Kung Fu. And now he is. That should be his new nickname. He got it done. Fun fight while it lasted, but a big, very emotional win for the Leech, which is more impressive now thinking about it because it was the fight following getting absolutely trucked by Khamzat Chimaev in Abu Dhabi. Comes back, great performance against a guy who hasn't lost in a really long time. What is next, AK, for the always dangerous, always smiling Li Jingliang?
Listen, I'm forfeiting a point here because after my choice's most recent fight, I was like, I need to see him fight Andre Fialho. I just thought it'd be a cool fight. But now this fight just makes too much sense. I have to go with Brian Barberena. He was talking about as soon as the fight was over, and I don't know if he brought it up first or someone else brought it up, but they're like, we really want to see the Leech and Bam Bam go at it. And I'm like, yeah, that's just an amazing fight. It's a chance for Barberena to move up the rankings. It's a great stand-up battle. So yeah, I'm totally into it. Don't need to overthink this one. Brian Barberena, Li Jingliang. Forget my no points. I'm moving on from whatever the Fialho thing. This is the one to make.
Now, I knew you were picking that because you would let me know you were going to pick that. So I could have easily just cheated and stole a Friends Forever moment. But
we don't do that.
We don't force them. We can't force them. And I was like looking into this a little bit deeper. And Lee has fought a lot of the guys that make any real sense in this scenario. And Barberena is like one of the guys that fits in that mold, but I'm not going to pick him. So I thought about it. I was getting a little frustrated. And I was like, wait a minute. Jeremiah Wells is on a tear right now. I think this would be a super fun fight. So let's just see these two dudes get after it. But again, I mean, if you want to throw him in there with Kevin Holland, I'm cool with that. Barberena is great. If you wanted to do Tim Means, that's fun. The Leech has some options, and I like almost all of them, AK. I like almost all of them.
That middle pack of welterweight is so fun right now. Daniel Rodriguez is in there. Who else is? Alex Morano.
Randy Brown.
Randy Brown. Boy, that's fun. There's a lot of fun in the middle of the just outside the top. This is one of those things where it's like forget rankings. Like if you're matching up welterweights, like forget rankings. Forget this is just what's some fun. I don't know where we'll put Michel Pereira. I still kind of have him just above the. I guess he's close to getting ranked. Fun. But you could put him with so many of these matchup with so many of these guys. Ooh, welterweight's looking good.
Welterweight's interesting. You want to do Wonder Boy Leach? I'm cool with that. Like, there's just lots of fun to be had right now. And speaking of fun,
how fun would that be for Li Jingliang to go from the king of kung fu to like two of the most like respected like martial artists like to compete in the UFC? What a thrill that would be for Li Jingliang. He was so happy to fight. So he said, like, when I grew up, I was coming up in MMA, I watched Salikov. So very cool for him if you got the Wonder Boy fight too.
Yeah, probably be big for Wonder Boy too, because I'm sure he knows the history of Lee as well. So now I gloated a little bit. I believe this is where you gloat, AK, because what could we say? Matt Schnell, the guy is just so tough. He's so damn durable. That fight with Sumederji was ridiculous. Go ahead and gloat before we move forward the match.
Oh, I will. People forgot how close Schnell hurt Brandon Royval real bad in their fight. People forgot how why that fight won. I think that won fight of the night, right? That wasn't just a performance bonus for Royval. I'm pretty sure that was fight of the night. I believe this is back-to-back fight of the nights now for Schnell. It wasn't a very long fight. Yeah, so this is back-to-back fight of the nights for Schnell. I've had Schnell ranked for a long time. I know people will see like, man, he hasn't really put together that run of wins, but he's just fought like tough competition. He's suffered from some inactivity. So I've had him in there. I've kept him on the Favre list. I think I'm not the only one. Someone else voted for him. Here's what I wrote before the fight with Sumederji. Just a part of it. Schnell has shown a tendency to get wild from time to time, but in this instance, that might actually be to his benefit. Sumederji hasn't been in a funky fight yet, and a veteran like Schnell isn't going to stand there and pick apart. If he feels like Sumederji is outpointing him from distance, Schnell is going in. Sumederji wasn't just outpointing him from distance; he was beating Schnell's ass from distance. So Schnell had to go in. There was a lot of those shots could have put him down. I don't know how he survived. He was put down by some of those shots. Anyway, and then I added, it's a dangerous way to live, which is appropriate given Schnell's nickname, and could be disastrous against an accurate puncher like Sumederji. But Schnell is going to push through some early adversity here, land something that hurts Sumederji, and then submit him. So I have my moments, guys. I have my moments where I pick things correctly. I may or may not have wagered on this, or at least, I would have if I bet on MMA, but I don't. So it's strictly hypothetical. But yeah, second round, Schnell hit it on the money. And I would like to see Matt Schnell's call. Listen, after a win like that, you get your call out. I like it. Askarov as an option too. Thank you, Owen, for chiming in there. But Matt Schnell afterwards was very specific. He said, I want to come back to New York, Madison Square Garden. Give me Matthias Nicolau. Nicolau I have in my top 10. I think he's in the UFC's top 10. Top 10 the MMA fighting global rankings. Matt Schnell wants a fun fight, wants a guy he thinks he can beat, and a guy who will move him up the rankings. Schnell, you've done our job for us. Well done. Give me Schnell Nicolau.
Man, I thought for a second we were going to have another Friends Forever moment. And we did. We did, AK. Friends forever. Yes. You give the man what he wants after a fight like that. You want to throw him in the Mecca? He wants to go to the Mecca and fight Matthias Nicolau. F it. If that's what happens when this guy fights in New York, then you put him on that card and you give him what he wants. So love it. That is exactly the way to go. Nicely done. 2 for 3 or 2 for 4 here. We're batting 500.
And our friends, it's getting better every time we do it. I think the listeners will know. It's getting more in sync every time we do it. But yeah, Matt versus Matthias at the Mecca. Come on.
The hashtag writes itself.
Boom.
The hashtag writes itself. You just do Mattheus, Matthias. You don't even need Matt. Yeah, that sucked. Terrible. Forget it.
No, we'll take it out in post. We'll take it. It's not like we're live or anything. It's fine.
In post. So Shane Burgos survives a tough third round, and I'm gonna say it again. He survived some cheating. He survived some cheating from the Canadian. You don't really see that from the Canadian and from Canadians in general. But Charles Jourdain grabbed the fence. Got a little cheap. And then because of that fence grab, he almost he changed the whole trajectory of the fight. And in the end, majority decision victory for Hurricane Shane Burgos. He bet on himself, final fight on his deal, gets it done, 29-28 to the cards. Other had it 28-28, which I was like, okay, I don't mind the 28-28 until I actually looked at the scorecard and I'm like, you can't give Shane Burgos a 10-8 and not give Charles Jourdain a 10-8 for that third, but neither here nor there. Burgos is going to get re-signed. UFC is going to pay him a little bit more money. He's just going to keep having fun fights. I'd like to see Burgos versus Danny Ige, okay? I would like to see Shane Burgos versus Danny Ige. I just think that's a fun fight. I don't want to push Burgos too high. I just feel like trajectory-wise, they're just going to put the boots to each other. It'll be a fun fight. It'll be a tough matchup for Ige, but it's actually a fight that I think Ige has a chance to win. I wouldn't favor him in that fight, but if he could extend it and take Burgos to the third round, I think Ige has a chance to get this done. So I'd like that matchup. I think it makes sense right now. What do you think?
Before I get to a pick that you might hate, I'm not sure, or you might love, because it's either or. You're gonna love it or hate it. I want to bring up a question from our pal Scott McCrate. Scott McCrate was asking, do you guys remember a fight where both fighters received a 10-8 score, where one fighter receives a 10-8 in one round, then the other fighter receives a 10-8 in another round? Nothing came to my mind immediately. I went to the human computer, Jose Young's. He couldn't think of any examples. Mike, I don't know if you have any, but I decided also, if we can't come up with anything, listeners, viewers, if you're people watching live now, leave a comment in the YouTubes. If you remember a fight where one guy received a 10-8 round and the other guy received 10-8, obviously it's just a very unlikely thing to happen. And anyone listening to the podcast later, feel free to DM me if there's an example. I don't know if there's an obvious one I'm missing, but I don't recall it happening. Now, Mike, I want to know how you're going to feel about this. I want a rematch for Burgos next.
Oh, I
think he deserves to rematch someone in the top 10.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Give him your boy, Calvin Kattar. Burgos versus Calvin Kattar 2. Calvin Kattar beat Burgos by third round TKO, UFC 220, back in January 20th, 2018. This is a long time ago now. And by the time you were there, I'm sure you were. And by the time this fight was, if this fight is booked, by the time it is, it'll be closer to like 5 years since that first fight happened. So a lot of time has passed. And Kattar also handed Burgos his first loss. So there's a storyline there. I want to see how far Burgos has come along. He was not happy with his performance on Saturday night. I don't know why. I do know why. He had to mix the martial arts, which, as we all know, is just disgusting. Hashtag keep the martial arts apart. But he won. He won. It was a very tough fight. I get it. I'm sure he would have wanted to dominate more in his hometown, but he's now, by the way, 7-0 in the state of New York. So congrats to Burgos for that. But let's do a little New York versus Boston classic rivalry. Burgos Kattar 2. Let's bring it back.
That's fun. I mean, listen, if they go that route, I would watch the crap out of that. But do it at MSG. You did the first one in Kattar's home building. It was at the TD Garden in Boston. Kattar got his big moment. Now we do it at MSG, and I'm sure Kattar would be fine at MSG. Yep, MSG. Let's go. Would that make sense though? Shane defended his spot when he gets tough. Listen, Kattar would, if they offered Kattar Shane Burgos again, he would take it in 5 seconds. Kattar's not the guy. It's like, well, I'm ranked number 6 and he's ranked like number 13. Doesn't make sense. I think he would just be like, all right, I'll fight that dude. Like, where is it happening? Okay. On the moon? Sure. I'll be there.
He fought Giga. Nobody wanted to fight Giga. He's like, yeah, give me Giga. Bring it.
Yeah. And he put the boots to Giga
in
a bad way.
Nobody wanted to fight that guy.
Big win there was nothing lucky about this. Big win for Lauren Murphy. She beat up Miesha Tate for 15 minutes. It was a huge win. She gets on the microphone and she said, I'm going to Paris. I'm sitting cage side for the Manon Fiorot Jessica Andrade fight, which, if you were paying attention to the broadcast, John Anik, I don't know if he was supposed to do this, but he said some things. Such as that fight's no longer happening. Manon Fiorot's fighting somebody else. And then he mentioned another name, which was kind of stunning because it was a name that was first mentioned for this fight. And then Andrade was supposed to replace this name. And now this person seems to be back in. So here's what I know right now. Okay. Here's what I know.
Oh, before you go, Mike, I will say, I want to, you will be answering a question from a first timer who I want to shout at Brat Meow on Twitter. Because at Brat Meow is asking, can't Lauren Murphy just replace Andrade for the Fiorot fight in Paris? And you are going to let us know that's probably not going to happen.
It's not happening.
Okay. It's just not happening.
It's not happening. Jessica Andrade will not be fighting on September 3rd at UFC Paris. A source told our man Damon Martin medical issues. I confirmed with a source from the other side of the table that fight is no longer happening. I will say this. It is being targeted that we're going full circle. That's all I'll say right now.
That is all. Yes, that is all we can say for now, guys.
That's all we can say for now.
I'm sure we'll have more details for you shortly. But the end point.
What I'll say is what Anik said. It's looking very likely. It's not done, but it's looking likely.
So the spot has been filled is essentially what we're saying. That much we know. It does sound like the spot has been filled.
It looks like it has been filled by
So,
the name that originally was supposed to fill it.
So, if you're Lauren Murphy, again, this is for at Brat Mao's comment. If you're Lauren Murphy, you could still be on standby because that fight seems to have some weird energy around it. So you never know. Maybe maybe either this new name pulls out, or maybe Figaro ends up having to pull out, which would be a real shame because it's in Paris. But hey, if you're Lauren Murphy, just stay on call. It sounds like she is ready to jump in.
I mean, I have both arms up in the air. That's all I'll be able to say. But apparently that's the favorite to happen. We're going back to that well. I don't know what happened, but there we go. So now that we've learned this, AK, has this changed where you're going with Lauren Murphy?
Not at all. This is, I mean, yes, it has, but also technically it has not changed where I'm going with Lauren Murphy because I had a plan for her dating back to UFC Vegas 54 when Viviane Araujo beat Andrea Lee. I specifically said, Mike, I want Viviane Araujo to fight Lauren Murphy, not if, I said after Lauren Murphy beats Miesha Tate. So this was back in May. I said this fight, I want this fight to happen. So I'm getting if this fight gets made, Mike, I'm claiming 2 full Otno points because I did not waffle. I said Lauren Murphy will beat Miesha Tate, and Lauren Murphy's next fight will be against Viviane Araujo. I'm sticking with it. Mike, what you got?
I will say this. I loved Lauren Murphy's call out. Absolutely fantastic. I thought she crushed it on the mic after crushing it in the octagon. If Lauren Murphy is even looking in the general direction of the boogie woman that is Jessica Andrade, I would lean all the way into this thing. I would go for that fight. Every interview you do from here on out, you say, I want to fight Jessica Andrade. That's who I want to fight. Now, that is a scary-ass fight for anybody. But Lauren Murphy looked real good tonight. And she talked about getting C. diff in the Shevchenko fight, which I had no idea. I had no idea that was the case. I spoke to Lauren Murphy like a week after she fought Shevchenko. And that was a wild conversation. I learned a lot in that conversation, but that was not mentioned at all. She would not tell me. And then she revealed it at the media day and subsequent interviews after that. But she looked real good in this fight and she beat up Miesha Tate. And if Andrade, basically from what I understand, the Andrade situation with the medical issues, she's going to try like hell to fight in September, but it just doesn't look like the timeframes would line up. And it doesn't look like Lauren Murphy's going to be ready to fight in September either because she wants to go to the damn card and sit cage side and just watch the fight unfold and then fight the winner. So at this point, maybe you target November, December, go for Andrade. Just go for it. And if she beats Jessica Andrade, I mean, I don't know if she'd get a title shot, but she puts herself in a damn good position to get back there quickly. And let's just say Shevchenko jumps up to 135
right?
and they want to do an interim title fight.
Or vacant.
Murphy's in the conversation. Or vacant.
Vacant.
Maybe vacant.
Listen, Lauren Murphy said tonight's post-fight press conference, she's won a title in every promotion she's fought for. Now, I'm not saying she could beat Shevchenko, but winning a vacant title, hey, that would still count. But winning an interim title would count. So it's definitely possible. By the way, don't show Joseph Boza. He just ruined my pick. He ruined my pick with his facts, Mike. There's a conversation going into the YouTube, and I just had to be reminded that no, it wasn't directed to me. It was directed to someone else. But Viviane Araujo's booked. She's fighting Alexa Grasso August 13th, which is weird.
It still happened.
It can still happen, but I did not acknowledge that I knew that because I clearly I didn't. Even though I'm looking at the site, I wrote that story. I wrote that fight was happening. So that's a doo-doo pick on my part, guys. Listen. You guys rarely see this because anytime we make. Mike, I'm pulling back the curtain. Anytime we make mistakes in the show, guys, we just edit it out. We edit out all the mistakes we make. We kind of check things after. So you guys think like we're geniuses and we get everything right all the time. There's no hiding now on live television, Mike. There's no hiding. So people saw people just saw me drop a deuce there with that pick. And I apologize. Joseph Boza, thank you for keeping me in check. That was a mistake. Yes. Viviane Araujo is booked. She's fighting Alexa Grasso.
So I just saw this comment. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, this is a close game. And I just looked and they're just getting shellacked right now. So I'm so glad I turned that freaking game off. Love the accountability, AK. I mean, this is just an honest show. And by the way, we don't edit out the mistakes. We don't unless it's like an audio hiccup somewhere. Even then I probably miss it from time to time when I'm putting these shows together. So there we go. Let's go to I'm very interested for this, AK. I'm very excited for this. I love the wild card round. And if you're new to the program, our wild card round is where we select one fighter we have not match made for yet. And we'll match make right now for that person. It could be somebody who is victorious on the prelims, could be somebody who is not victorious on the main card, whoever you want from this card that we have not talked about yet, AK. Kick us off, lead us off. Who you got?
How can I not pick Ricky Simone? Ricky Simone has been bubbling, just outside the top 15 or just outside the top 10, depending where you rank him. It's hard because he's a guy that definitely a lot of the veterans are not jumping at the opportunity to give Ricky Simone a fight. Uriah Faber did, and it paid off for Uriah Faber. Picked up a big upset when he fought Ricky Simone. Simone really to this day kind of still recovering from that loss. I'm not saying him like emotion or anything. I'm saying his reputation, because that was a huge, huge opportunity for him. Was it a main event? Was that a main event of a card, Mike? Faber and Simone?
That was a co-main event.
Co-main event. What was in the main? I gotta look at this now. Oh gosh, right. It was because it's in Sacramento, Durandamy and Ladd, because that was a big fight at the time. Which also had a sort of veteran finish, kind of funny finish. So, but Simone is a blessing. He's been a tear. He beat an undefeated guy tonight, 16-0, 5-0 in the UFC, and he submitted him. He just looked like a next level bantamweight, which is what he is now. So we have to reward him with a big fight. And the fight he wants is Sean O'Malley. And we've called a lot of our listeners have called for this fight. We've called for this fight. This is the kid from Heck. Let's give him what he wants. Let him ragdoll O'Malley. Sure. This is a magic wand pick. This is a magic wand pick. I don't know if this one does get made, but if I'm the matchmakers and I have complete control, O'Malley, get ready. This guy's been chasing you. He has openly said he wants a piece of you. And I'm not even saying like Simone would like dominate him. I think it's a perfectly winnable fight for O'Malley. So even from that aspect, I think it could be competitive and exciting. And I think they're two really, really good bantamweights. And that's all I want from this division, is them to keep matching up all these talents together, because there's so many good guys here.
So here's one thing that I've learned, and you and I talked about this off the air. I'm not going to call it anyone specifically, but ever since our show became what it is today, AK, we started from the ground up. We started from just like a little seed, and then we watered it over time, and it would become where we could just pop up and do a show and people care enough to watch it. I saw a lot of matchmaking for Dustin Jacoby after he knocked out Dawoon Jung, which, by the way, is a very serious win for the resume. That is a big-time win, because Dawoon Jung is a big problem at 205, and Jacoby treated him like he was a top 75 guy. It was an impressive performance, and I am officially done, damn it, doubting this man in any way, shape, or form. And there are a lot of suggestions from media members, and this is where it really stuck out, that we are just better than all of these people, because some of these picks were fine. Some are really, really bad. Like someone suggested, I think Jacoby versus John. No one wants to see Jacoby fight Johnny Walker. Come on. We're gonna put Dustin Jacoby in there with Johnny Walker. Do we really want to see that? No, this isn't. And I'm not talking about Johnny Walker from 2018. I'm talking 2022 Johnny Walker. Nobody wants to see that. Jose Young's had a good idea. Also incorrect. Every one of those were incorrect. And I see some in here that are fine. Also incorrect. The correct answer, AK, is to put Mr. Dustin Jacoby in a fight where we really get to see how far he can go in this division, because he is not a spring chicken after all. He's 34 years of age. He's much older in fight years. He's got a lot of combat miles on him. And I'm not saying anything disrespectful. I'm saying something that he would admit himself, and has admitted himself many times. So I feel that with what Dustin Jacoby has done in his career since returning to the UFC, I feel like he deserves a step up. And I'm not just saying a step up, AK. I'm saying a real step up, a legit step up. And I feel like he's the kind of guy in the position that he's in right now that would be a perfect comeback fight for a guy who hopes to get back in there by the end of the year, a guy who needs a win very badly, a guy who has fought for a world title, a guy who, if the judging in Houston, Texas on that fateful night in February of 2020 was done correctly, maybe his career, his life, his legacy would look a lot different than it does right now. So with that, I present to you my wildcard pick for UFC Long Island, Dustin Jacoby, versus Dominic Reyes. There you go. You're welcome. You're welcome. That is the correct answer. There's no other answer. There's no other answer. Dominic Reyes is the answer. All of you are wrong if you're not saying Dominic Reyes. So yes, that is the fight.
Especially the people saying Roundtree. It'll be a fun fight, but Jacoby's way ahead of Roundtree right now.
If Jacoby loses a fight, then you could do Roundtree.
Yeah, he's way ahead. He is 6-0-1. No, what am I doing? I'm messing up. Is he 6-0-1 since coming back? No, that doesn't sound right. Well,
he's something like that. Yeah, he's
6-0-1. Yeah, he's on a 7-fight undefeated streak since coming back to the UFC. It took him 10 years to get his first UFC win. He was signed with the promotion way back in the day, went 0-2, went back to focus on kickboxing, came back to the UFC, and he has not stopped winning since. Fantastic. What a story. Yeah. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah. And this is a great return fight for Reyes too. Like if Reyes is really coming back, like he says, and he's ready and he's clear, his mind is right. And this is Reyes 2.0. Like, this is the kind of fight we want to put him in. One where he's either just going to lose or he's going to shine. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think you give both guys what they want. This is not like a huge, because I don't want to see Dominic Reyes fight a guy like in the top 5 right now. I want to see a ranked guy. By the time Tuesday rolls around, I think Jacoby's number 15 right now. He'll probably jump up to like 13 or something. I think it makes perfect sense. So. And I think this is a good fight for Dominic Reyes as well. So, and someone just said Jacoby's a can crusher. That is just not true. That's just literally one of the worst things I've ever seen.
was 4-0-1 before this fight. Get out of here.
Dawn Jung was unbeaten in a long ass time.
Dirty Reg 22. Dirty Reg 22. Boo. You shame your name. You shame your family name. Get out of here. You shame your family name.
Yep. So that's the correct answer. That is the only answer.
And
it's a win-win either way. Because if Reyes wins, he's back. Now we can do some things. And if Jacoby wins, then we got something here. So let's go. That's the correct pick.
My best friend. You've done it again. You've done it again.
Thank you. You're welcome, Sean Shelby. You're welcome, Mick Maynard. This is the kind of thinking that you need in Las Vegas right now when it comes to the matchmaking. So no, Dirty Reg 22 is just killing me right now. Do we have any extracurriculars here?
I don't think so. I'm honestly, I didn't really have time to. I'll be honest, I didn't really have time to check today, guys. True. Usually I take hours upon hours upon hours of setting up the show, but we want to give you a live show tonight. So you're only like a couple hours removed from doing the post-fight show.
I talked a lot.
Yeah, we did a ton of writing afterwards. I barely had time to eat. I think you had to go run and do some real life errand stuff. So yeah, we haven't. There hasn't been a lot of prep. So guys, you message me later if you want no points, and I'll review your cases individually. But otherwise, we can move on to looking at some YouTube picks. If you got any cool DMs, I mean, I got a bunch. I'm not going to read them all, but certainly pick out a few comments here and there.
Yes, Dirty Reg 22 is just a bad mood. Come on, this is a positive space. This is a positive space. Dirty Reg 22, for God's sake. Let me see. Let me just see what the listeners have submitted. See if there's anything here that I can use. Where are we at right now? Okay, I don't know what that is. We'll go to John Ray. He will kick things off. Dakota, who had a great win tonight. What a great debut for her. Mm-hmm. Dakota versus Waterson Gomez.
I mean, I guess you could. It's kind of a weird matchup because it's like, 1-0 in the UFC versus what's Waterson now? Something like where's my? I have net stats right. 6-6 in the UFC, but Dakota does have a lot of big game experience. Again, she fought for Bellator, she fought for Invicta. She's kind of been fighting high level people. It would be, I think, a significant step up from anyone that Dakota has fought. I guess there's Alima McFarland at Flyweight, but I think that's a little too soon. I could see them making it. I just think it's a little too soon. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that. I kind of like the idea of doing Penne versus Waterson Gomez, a rematch. Let those two just beat each other up because they fought in Invicta, right? And it was like one of those like really memorable fights. So I like that idea. John Ray likes Jacoby versus the Santos Hill loser. Simone versus Pedro Munoz is interesting. Murphy Chukagian 2, not Dudu because we don't know what's happening, but it seems like Chukagian is going to be back in the Manon Fiorot fight for UFC Paris, although that's just targeted, not done. Tate versus the loser of Sarah McMahon versus Aspen Ladd. Burgos versus Ige. Li Jingliang versus Jeff Neal, win or lose. Lemos versus Amanda Hebas, assuming she's back at strawweight.
A lot of people want
the Amandas.
Amanda and Amanda. A lot of people want it.
We're just going to kind of go back and forth. Why do you think Rose isn't getting the rematch with Carla Esparza? It could happen. Very easily it could happen.
Yeah, the first fight was so good. I mean, you got to run that one right back, right? Yeah.
Or you mean the second fight?
The second fight, excuse me. No, it could. It could. If certain people aren't ready, if certain people decide they don't want to wait, yeah, it could vary. I actually do agree with this comment from Moby One Kanab. I guess this would be Moby One Kenobi, kind of. Okay, anyway, I do kind of agree with the comment. It very easily could happen. I just don't think it's the UFC's first option. I think after how that fight left a very bad stink in everyone's nostrils, and yes. They don't want to put that back on pay-per-view if they can avoid it. I mean, it needs the proper. Both women need to do a little bit of rehab. One good title defense for Esparza would be good. Rose has always been a finisher when she's not not defending her title. She always seems to find finishes. I guess she does when she does defending her title too. I should say so. Oh no, when chasing the title. Sorry. So when she has the title, for whatever reason, doesn't quite pull off the same finishes. But when she's chasing, boy, few are more exciting than Rose Namajunas. So yeah, one big finish. Everyone will forget the first fight. You can definitely run Esparza and Rose back. I just don't think it's going to happen immediately.
Agreed. Turd Ferguson, Yair Rodriguez versus Arnold Allen. Lemos versus the loser of Yan Janan, Mackenzie Dern. Li Jingliang versus Neil Magny 2. That's what the Leech wants. Matt Schnell, Bontarine 2. Shane Burgos, Edson Barboza 2. I don't know if I'm ready for that. We just saw that, and the way that ended was super duper scary. Mm-hmm. Lauren Murphy, Chukagian 2 seems to be a popular one. Hey, could happen, but probably not next. Soriano versus Julian Marquez. I like that fight. That's fun. Another Simone Munoz. Algio versus. Do we just go back to the Bill versus Billy fight? AK.
I'm into it. Yeah, I think both guys are really eager to have them rebooked too. So yeah, I like it.
He called out Chase Hooper. I don't love that call out, but I like the answer. He called him bird chested, and then when he was asked about it, he said, "Well, speaking as a fellow bird chested guy, I can tell a bird chest from a mile away since I have a bird chest myself. So that's why I want to fight for the battle of the bird chest, essentially."
He also said something really funny to Cormier that Cormier no-sold right at the end of the interview, and I can't remember. But anyway, if it comes back to me, I'll think.
So I like the Aljo Quarantillo idea. Just run that one back or rebook that one. Jacoby versus Jimmy Cruz. Cruz going to be out for a while, so I don't think that's going to happen. Stoltzfus. Good win for Dustin Stoltzfus. He stays alive in the UFC. Yeah. I don't think Mr. Dwight Grant is long for the Octagon world after today. But good win. He likes Stoltzfus versus Duran win. And then another Ducote versus Michelle Watterson pick. So there you go. Drew Hilty, despite the anticlimactic ending, the fights being over by 2 p.m. on the West Coast is awesome. Agreed. Yair versus Volk. Don't care if the ending was fluky. I've got no interest in Volk versus Emmett. There you go. Ortega Allen, if their timelines can match up. Lemos, Yan Janan, win or lose versus Dern. Lee looked great holding serve against Salikov. Lee versus Randy Brown sounds great. Round of the year, comeback of the year, fight of the year. Schnell is a machine. Schnell versus Mahayev. When Mahayev wins his next fight next week, strap the rocket to him. Pride rules, Jourdain won that. Not even close. Regular rules, Jourdain won that. Sadly, that's not the world we live in. I don't agree with you, but it was a close fight. Burgos versus Cub Swanson for some good old-fashioned violence. They already fought, and Burgos beat him. But another rematch, I guess.
No, they didn't mention it. Doo-doo pick.
That's true. Okay. You gave yourself a doo-doo pick, so it's only fair. Jourdain versus the Landwehr Tukagov winner. Murphy versus Tyler Santos. Dustin Jacoby should get a top 10 opponent. He's done enough. Drew Hilty. Dustin Jacoby versus Dominic Reyes. Could be a good bounce-back fight for Reyes or a solid name for Dustin. Excellent matchmaking, Drew
Well
Hilty.
Done, Drew Hilty. Well done.
You're thinking like a matchmaker.
Like a pro.
P.S. Just saw the UFC gave performance bonuses to every fighter that got a finish, and they should 1,000% continue to do that. Correct. Thick buh. I think, beh.
Yeah.
That's how it's spelled. Just came in hot off the presses. Shane Burgos versus Josh Kulaba. I thought Shane looked pretty slow out there today. I want to see him sign a new contract and get one more step down before he steps back up to top 15 competition. Stoltzfus versus Godzi. Jacoby versus Span. Algio versus David Onama. That's a crazy fight. I like that one. Get him back in quick. Some loser of Dominic Cruz versus Cheeto Vera. If Cheeto loses, or Frankie Edgar. Now, our man Aaron Bronstetter said that he spoke to Ali Abdulaziz and said that Frankie Edgar wants one more fight, one more at MSG. He doesn't care who it's against. So there you go. Well, how do you feel about this, AK?
I'm conflicted. I want him to go to fight week and have all be properly fitted and have, just the best fight week of his life, weigh in, very comfortable weigh in, guarantee he gets his show money. And then I want the fight to be canceled on fight day. And he does not have to fight, and we can do this dance again in 6 months or something. Because I remember at the last fight, I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch Frankie fight anymore. But at the same time, I also don't want him to go away. So what can I do?
We're going to get to your comments shortly, I promise. Puna Soriano versus Andre Petrosky. Murphy versus Fioro. I'm not calling it doo-doo because no one knows what the hell is happening. John Anik confused everybody, so it's fine. Lee versus Randy Brown. Lemos versus Torres. Yair versus Arnold Allen. #1 contender fight. First-time caller, long-time listener. Thank you. Do you have any listeners you want to pick? And then we'll go to the comments.
So many. Yeah, I'll go some quick ones. This is at Someone's Online, a first-timer. I want to read their stuff. Yair versus Volkanovski. I know it's less than stellar to win to propel someone to a title fight, but we're gifting a title fight. Oh, wow. Shots. Oh my goodness. Islam Makhachev catching a stray here. Let me start that again. I know it's a less than stellar win to propel someone to a title fight, but we are gifting a title fight to someone, Islam, whose only ranked win, Hooker, in the last 3 years is 1-4 in their last 5. So this seems okay to me. Wow, that felt personal.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh no. This is a first timer. So are first timers exempt from doo-doo?
Depends.
This person just said Lee. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is not a duty pick. I'm sorry. I totally got confused. I apologize, guys. Live television. Li Jingliang. This is fine. Li Jingliang versus Michael Chiesa seems like a fair step up and down in the rankings, the ones that don't matter for both fighters. Oh, the UFC rankings, right? Shane Burgos versus Dan Ige. There you go, Mike. Jacoby versus Dominic Reyes again. Wow, Mike.
I'm telling you,
you are a man of the people. You're a man of the people.
It's the fight. It's the right fight.
This seems extremely fun and a similar sentiment as the previous pick. Jacoby deserves a big opportunity, winning 6 in a row. Did he win 6 in a row, or is it 6? There's a draw in there, but anyways,
unbeaten in 7.
Unbeaten in 7. And the draw's not. Is the draw at the beginning? Anyway, and this seems like a good place to bring Reyes back and possibly build him up again. Keep crushing. Big fan of all the MMA fighting content coming out over the past few months. All-star cast assembled over there. I agree, guys. I don't like to brag, but working with, and I don't want to name everyone's name, but working along with my best friend Mike Heck and all the guys that you love listening to and reading on MMAfighting.com is like, it's such a privilege. Every day I have to work. It's like, it's not like work at all. It's so cool. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to make people jealous out there, but yes, the MMA fighting crew is friggin' awesome.
Nobody, listen, I know the ringer guys have some fun too, but I don't think anybody has more fun than, like, honestly, I don't think anybody has more fun than we have.
Stephen Brighter, some good picks. Emily DeCote says slow roll Brianna Fortino. That'd make a lot of sense, right? Because Fortino was supposed to fight Penne. So sure, maybe you just get, unless you think, Dakota is ahead of her now. I don't think so yet. And I think Brianna Fortino is also really good. Obviously, she just had she had a kid. She's had other reasons she's been out. So, I think when she comes back, she's actually going to really be one to watch in the strawweight division. Not sure if Hurricane Shane won that. Draw on my scorecard at best for him. Let's rebook his fight with Mina Keem and get a banger. Sure. Holy hell. Oh,
that's a good one. Nope, that's a good one. I got it. No, you're good. We're good.
Okay. Holy hell, Matt Schnell. That was unreal. He should fight the loser of Pantoja versus Alex Perez, which I'm assuming will be Perez. Nicolau is a good call-up for him, though. Ortega versus Calvin Kattar. If Volk doesn't fight Yair, though, I'm cool with them running it back.
I do like that fight a lot. I
think Kattar beats him. Maybe.
I like the fight, though. If the timing lines up, I like the fight.
Okay. So thank you, Stephen Brighter. Cody Hartman says, it's been a long time, but I'm back. Continuously listening. Just hard to think of picks so late on Saturday nights. Hey, we feel you. Yeah, those. Thank God. I wish there were more cards like this, and we weren't up doing picks at 2-3 in the morning. What do we got here? Lemos versus Torres. Sure. Tisha Torres. There you go, Mike. There's one. Jacoby versus Dom. There's a lot of Jacoby versus Dom Reyes. Okay, I'm just going to assume everyone wants it. Murphy versus, well, I do want this fight, but it won't happen anytime soon. Murphy versus Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill probably out until at least next year. She's dealing with a pretty serious knee injury. So, yeah, that guy's 2023. Marcus McGahee, our pal, calls this the round 3 Jourdain edition. Yes, that was a big round with a little bit of cheating in it. Yair versus Emmett, Ortega versus Cater, Schnell versus Dvorak, Simone versus Saeed Nurmagomedov, Mike.
I mean, I'd watch it. But
I don't know if we need to throw those guys. Again, I don't like protecting people, but I don't know if we want to let's throw two such promising guys in there against each other. Daniel Rodriguez, Mike, is he he's not booked, I don't think, and he doesn't have some notable injury we're unaware of, right?
So a little teaser here. While I was in Las Vegas, I spoke to Daniel Rodriguez outside of T-Mobile Arena, and clear. The man is clear. He had a hand surgery after the Kevin Lee fight. Thought he was gonna be ready to return maybe January, maybe February. Turns out he had to get a second surgery and third surgery on his hand. But now he's ready to go. He's hoping to be returned by August, late August, early September, and then he's ready to go. Wants to be back in that mode where fight, you get something short notice coming up 3 weeks later, call me. 3 weeks later, call me. He's ready to go. So, and he's fired up.
People want to see him. He's got big wins over Kevin Lee, Tim Means, 3 straight, Mike Perry, 6 out of the last 7. So D-Rod, a popular pick. It's been almost a year since he's fought. So yeah, let's hope he comes back soon. So Garrett Thompson suggesting Jingliang Li versus Daniel Rodriguez. So I like that. Oh, they have a question. Mike, about your favorite fighter, the one and only Henry Cejudo. So Garrett asked, so if Henry truly wants to make a run for a third belt at 145, he's clearly going to have to fight a top contender to get a shot. So what about Henry versus Yair? I'm going to stop this now because I just don't think Cejudo. That's what you've been asking for. That's what you've been saying. You want Cejudo to just beat someone to get a title fight.
Yeah, I don't care. He can fight Sean O'Malley.
Yes.
Like he can fight Sean O'Malley,
yeah,
and that's fine. He can fight if he signed on to fight Petr Yan right now for that October card in Abu Dhabi. I would literally dedicate a whole episode of Heck of a Morning to him. I would stand on my feet the entire episode and salute him for such a ballsy decision. But that's what you should do. Like nobody cares. Nobody cares that this man is coming back. Nobody. The UFC doesn't care. Dana White doesn't care. Henry cares. Ali cares. And that's it. Nobody else cares that he's coming back. Nobody. Did you see the look on Volkanovski's face when Cejudo went up to him after UFC 276? Like, he gave the classic, we'll see, bro. And just was like, I can't wait for this conversation to be over. Like, nobody cares. Now go fight somebody. Like, literally, I have more faith in Nick Diaz fighting again right now than Henry Cejudo fighting again. That's how I feel. Because he's not getting a title fight. He's not. But if he fights anybody else, like literally anybody, 25, 35, 45, if he wins, he'll get a title shot. But until then, he ain't fighting. He ain't getting any title shots. None. So, yeah, if he calls out Yair and fights Yair's going to take that fight. Why wouldn't he? But yeah, it's not going to happen, folks.
I'm really sorry I brought this up. That's on me. Don't apologize, Mike. I shouldn't have brought it. I know your trigger. I know that's your trigger.
Dumb. It's so dumb.
I apologize. I shouldn't have brought it up. Toby Kinsella. I don't think I've read their picks out for it. They're always sending me on Twitter and not in my DMs. So I said, send me my DMs so I remember. So I just want to read a few of these. Thank you, Toby. I believe representing the noble country of Ireland, if my flagology is accurate. I'll read a couple of these. There's another one for Lee versus Chiesa. Sure, I like it. Burgos versus Hakeem, another call for that. Murphy Chukagian too, like we said, it seems possible. Misha Tate retire. Now, I do want to talk about this quickly, Mike. So we had internal discussion again in our Slack, asking like, do you guys think she retires if she loses tonight? And I thought there's a chance. Others said she's probably like having fun still. She's not going to retire. I still think she could retire. So I started getting the feeling that she could still retire with a loss, but that she wasn't necessarily going to do it in the leave her gloves in the cage. I think she's going to take some time. I think this really could be her last fight, but she's going to take some time. She's not going to rush the decision. Probably going to see what options are out there for her. Because again, now that we know she's not getting a title shot anytime soon. how long is her climb back to the top, right? Because I think she realized in the flyweight division is a lot tougher maybe than she thought it was going to be. So I do still think this could be the last time you see Miesha Tate fight. If that's not, I mean, if she wants to fight, continue fighting, good for her. But I think it's possible. That's all I'm saying.
You would assume that she signed a 4-fight deal to come back, right?
Sure.
Like a new, because she retired, was out, came back in, probably signed a 4-fight deal. So that's that's 3 fights in, right? So she has, if she did sign a 4-fight deal, she got 1 fight left. So it wouldn't stun me to see one more out of her. Maybe she goes up to 30. Maybe she goes back up to 35. We get the rematch with Holly Holm that everyone has been seemingly clamoring for. That makes sense.
Yeah,
just do that. She is enjoying herself. Like when she retired before, she was friggin' miserable. Like she did not want to be there. She was dealing with a lot of stuff up, like in her personal life and behind the scenes, all that stuff. And she just seemed so happy. Like when she walked out to fight Lauren Murphy, she was like, all right, this is awesome. And when Lauren Murphy came out, it was, I'm about to kill somebody. Like I'm about to beat somebody up. She had the mean face on and everything. So I think we'll see her. I think we'll see her fight at least one more time.
The Holly Holm fight just makes too much sense. I don't know why we're dancing around it.
That's right.
Toby also likes Algio, Sungwoo Choi, Dakota versus Carnosi. So some fun matchups there. Thanks, Toby.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm not going to read all of this stuff. Brian Cashman says, I'm back to redeem myself. This day of fights was awesome, and now it's only 7:30, and I'm not drunk, so I can make these picks. Well, okay, judging by this tweet, this DM came in the form of a huge block of text, so I question that. But okay, first off, I want to start. Please give me Dustin Jacoby and Dominic Reyes. No, this is a sober man. You're right, Mike. This is a great pick.
He's super sober.
Let Burgos heal a bit. Match up with Danny Gate. Are you guys best friends? Li Jingliang, Michelle Pereira. Yeah, definitely an option. Lastly, for Simone, I think we have to wait and see what happens with Munoz and O'Malley. But AK, I'm sorry, it might be time to match Ricky Simone up with Frankie. No, okay, I'm done reading that. All right. Dax at Pike Putt says Simone sells C subs by the Seashore edition. Oh, that's good. Simone sells C subs by the Seashore. Wow.
Good stuff.
That is a great title for the show. I'd love to see Ortega versus Evloev when he heals. Lee versus D-Rod. Burgos versus Ige. Jacoby versus Walker, who is somehow still UFC ranked. And give Jourdain to Poria either way. I don't know if there's a lot of heat there necessarily. I don't know if they would want to make that happen.
Yeah, maybe.
Barry O'Reilly, I'm going to read a couple of these comments. Emily Ducote versus Viana Jandiroba. Emily looked very good in her first fight in terms of stand-up, so let's not test out her ground game yet against the BJJ expert Viana. Ducote actually has really good grappling. Maybe not the level of Viana, but I do see a lot of people always saying like, oh, she has to keep it standing. Her grappling is actually really good. Ricky Simone versus Umar. My first choice would be the Merab rematch. So should anything happen to Aldo, let's let them fight. But Simone has all the tools to be a champ, while Nurmagomedov's looked great so far. Winner of this, dark horse in a really deep division. I don't even think a dark horse. I think a winner of that fight becomes a front runner in this division to get a title shot. So appreciate the O'Malley call up, but no way he gets it. Really good matchups here. Schnell. I don't like this, Mike. Give me your thoughts on this. Schnell versus Makayev.
We got a couple of those.
Really?
I mean, listen, if they go that route, I'm watching it.
I think I just like Matt Schnell, and I do think Makayev would beat him. But also, I think it's a tough test. Very tough test. If he wins next week, Makayev versus Schnell is a great matchup. Step up for Makayev in his journey to becoming the youngest ever UFC champ. And if Schnell can be another prospect, gets a lot of respect after a few losses to those higher ranked. Sorry, guys. I'm going to jump over to give my email guys and my Instagram guys just a little bit of shine. Just a couple of emails. My old pal Zach Lemos versus Yan Xiaonan Dern loser. Lee versus Neil Luque loser. Simone versus Rob Font 2. Yeah, you know what? That's not bad. Puna versus Bruno Silva. Yes, please. Yes, please. Puna versus Bruno Blindado. And of course, Tristan Gordet. I told him to pop up on the YouTube. I see he's in there, but he also sent me an email. So thank you, Tristan, for tuning in and for the email. Lemos, Hibas, Jacoby, Ryan Spann, very popular one. Dustin Stoltzfus versus Dusko Todorovic. Dustin versus Dusko. I like it. And Puna versus Phil Haas. And one, let me stop off here in Instagram land before we go right to the YouTubes. James Sherwood likes Yair and Josh Emmett, number one contender fight, or as we said, interim title. Bill Algio, Josh Kulabau, sure. Another one for Lee Chiesa. Maybe Lee Chiesa is the way to go. All right, guys. I'm sorry, I cannot read all these. You guys are the best, but we do want to give some love to our YouTube listeners. I will look at all your picks, guys. So thank you for sending them in. But
All right. All
right,
YouTube. Here we go.
Let's go. All YouTube.
Soriano versus Buckley. Can't. Buckley's fighting Imavov in UFC Paris. Does Dakota really say her name that way? Yes.
Oh, that was just me. No, I think he said. I think I dropped a few Dakotas in there. No, yeah. It is just Dakota.
Jourdain versus Lerone Murphy. I like that idea. That's a fun fight.
Have they been booked? That sounds so familiar? I will check.
They might be. What's next for Jourdain? Bill Algeo would be fun.
Jourdain. Yes, Jourdain has. Excuse me. Let me get my pronunciation. I francophoned Dakota. I should do this probably. Jourdain and Murphy were booked twice in 2021. One of the cards was canceled, I believe, probably COVID related, and one of them Murphy had visa issues, so the fight didn't happen. So yeah, that's why this sounds so familiar. Would love to see that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Rebook Penne versus Fortino, maybe. Burgos versus the Giga Yusuf winner. Winner or loser? I think either of those two make sense.
Giga, yeah. When are they fighting?
They are fighting September 16th. It's the Sandhagen Song Yudong card.
Yeah. It's a bit of a wait. It's always when guys, when for anyone who's just catching our show for the first time, I don't like matching up guys with unless you're expecting the person we're matching up to be waiting a long time, like maybe they got an injury or it just seems like they're in a position where they can afford to wait. But to wait 2 months for that fight and then have to wait however long again after that for that fight to actually booked, that's a lot to ask. So I don't know if you can do that to Burgos. There's our boy Tristan. There you go. There's picks. Yeah.
Jacoby Spence, Dusko, Soriano, Phil Haas, Shane Burgos versus Ryan Hall. Well, Ryan Hall is kind of banned right now because Ryan Hall is injured. He's going to be out for a while. There you go.
Thank you, Macy Owens.
How about Misha versus Antonina Shevchenko?
Yeah. I like it. If Misha wants to go the revenge route, as far as if I beat your sister, surely you'll want to fight me. Which I don't think she's the first fighter who did that. I think Chukagian beat Antonina, I think, before fighting Valentina, and she's not the only one. Someone else did it too. So yeah. I mean, it's a good path.
Sounds like that is what fighters want. They hated that Bill Algeo versus Herbert Burns fight. Ricky versus Sean O'Malley. Murphy versus Chukagian Fioro. Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense. I know Murphy's wanted that Chukagian rematch for a while. I think Sean O'Malley will likely get Frankie Edgar. It's being reported by Aaron Broadstead that Frankie will hang it up at UFC 281 at MSG. God, Sean O'Malley would be a tough one, though. Although I actually think Frankie would... Maybe that's Frankie's really good. Like, even the fights he's losing, he got brutally knocked out by Marlon Vera, but he was winning that fight in a lot of people's eyes before he got knocked out. Or at worst, it was 1-1.
Yeah.
So Jacoby versus Arlovsky. You went to bump up to heavyweight? Come on, no?
Mike, let me go back to Instagram for a second. Our pal, my friend, you've got to get a real username. His username is FFS0807. Very catchy, rolls right off the tongue. They gave some picks, but I really want to read their comments. First, to all the MMA fans around the world, we need to come together to help Misha Tate pay what she owes to the IRS, because it seems pretty obvious that this woman does not fight for the good reasons. No, we just said she's enjoying it, guys. She's enjoying. I don't listen.
Wow.
He was not thrilled with this fight or the Vieira fight or even the Mehdi and Renault fight, I guess. So, second thing, let's have a moment of silence for all the Islam haters who are going to see him get his shot at the belt, despite everything that they can do. So really doing everything they can, to discredit his winning streak for the last 5 months. So very pro-Islam user here. And again, for anyone who may have missed it, that was officially announced today. Obviously, an oft-talked about matchup. And good news, Dana White said that Charles Oliveira, the uncrowned king, will receive his pay-per-view points as befitting a champion.
He thinks so.
There's a lot of I think so. I'm considering. I don't hate it. Yes, there's a lot of that at today's. You guys can check that out at MyFighting.com. We've got Dana's scrum back from vacation scrum, and he didn't really commit to anything, if we're being honest.
A lot of Dana-isms during that We'll see what happens. It's not Tuesday.
He did seem to be in a good mood, though. I will say, I did think the vacation refreshed him because he put up with a lot of bull crap. There's a lot of Nate Diaz questions. There was a lot of Jake Paul talk, and he took most of it in stride. So maybe this man did need a vacation.
It was the other thing. The words that Josh Emmett or any other person that's close to a title fight never wants to hear. Yeah, he's definitely one of the guys. He's definitely one of the guys, or he's in the mix. He's never in the mix. Thing.
He's definitely one of the guys. I'm considering it. Yeah, there was a lot of dancing around, just saying I'm going to give. I actually want to give someone a title shot.
What do you think about this one? Matt Schnell versus Tetsuro Taira.
Oh, I like Taira, but I think Schnell. I think is. I just thought Schnell has been really good for a long time, and I think like throwing him prospects is. I mean, it could be good for the prospects, but also you're taking a big risk of derailing someone who's just not quite ready for him yet.
If Schnell lost, I would consider this one. But
sure. Okay.
Didn't.
Yeah.
So, maybe do Sumadirji versus Tetsuro Taira. I don't know. That's fun. Algier versus Hooper is fun. Randy Brown versus Li Jingliang. That's a fun fight. Randy Brown against anybody right now, like in the top 20 to 25 range, is fun. That's
another fight that I feel like has been booked before and fallen through.
Probably.
I'm going to check. I know it's at least been a popular Otno pick. No, as far as I can tell, has not been. No, so it's probably a popular Otno pick.
There you go, Joseph Boza. Welcome aboard, my man. Welcome aboard.
Joseph Boza is so reasonable. He's such a reasonable person.
Yair would hurt Emmett, but Emmett can calm Yair also.
Can calm him?
I don't know. It must have been a typo.
Okay, all right.
Yair versus Emmett, Max versus Ortega. We already saw Max. Yeah.
No, now I have this image of Emmett, like soothing him during the fight, like a raging Yair, just be like, "Hey, buddy, relax, relax." Big Marcel 24, what's up?
The legend, Marcel Dorf. Frankie versus Dominic Cruz, but Dominic's booked right now against Cheeto, so maybe win or lose. Come on, David. We don't want any doo-doo. Frankie Edgar versus Michael Johnson at 145.
That's kind of cool, but man, Michael Johnson would be a lot bigger than him. A lot bigger.
Yeah, he'd be a giant.
No, I don't know how I feel about that.
Jack Shore versus Victor Henry. Give me all of that.
Can we just get Victor Henry booked? Hold on. When did Victor Henry last fight? It's been too long.
Yeah, which card was it? Was it 270?
So long now. This was 270, correct? This is January. Victor Henry, if you're healthy, please get back in there.
That's great right there. John Vellante versus Todd Duffy. Hilarious. Choose Violence, AK.
Never.
Lemos versus Hebus, Battle of the Mandas.
Yeah,
another one for that.
Do you see Casey Carpenter? Ortega suggestion.
I will get there.
Okay.
I mean, come on. We can't do that.
That's never going to happen.
I would never do it. I would it would be like Kevin Nash when he wrestled Hulk Hogan.
Except we both do it. We'd poke each other. And
I would take the finger poke of doom and be done.
We'd poke each other. We're closer than the Klitschko brothers. It's just not going to happen.
I watch it. You watch everything. Another one. Okay. A lot of big Marcel love in here. D-Rod versus Leach. D-Rod versus Holland.
That's a good one. Yeah, Eric, that's a really good pick.
Henry needs to take one fight and do it and win. I don't know what's going on with Victor Henry. I'll have to check in with him and see what's going on. Holland D-Rod. I will say Holland's name came up in that conversation, and let's just say he would be very interested in that fight.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense for both guys.
Well, I mean, David, listen, there's got to be somebody out there who cares, and you happen to be that one person who cares.
I believe David is also a member of the is a subscriber to the MMA Fighting YouTube, so his opinion counts as double everyone else's. That's
the answer right there, Mr. D. So who do we need to stop talking? Actually, make some moves. I think after what happened today, Josh Evans is the number one contender. Yair versus Arnold Allen makes all the sense in the world. I just don't know how you can come out of this event and be like, oh, definitely Josh Evans the guy. You can't. You just can't. So let's just settle it the old-fashioned way. Meet me by the oak trees and let's just beat the shit out of each other until one
interim title. But that you listen. This is the one time. This is a time, especially if Volkanovski is taking time off, even a little bit of time off, because to deal with this injury, because you don't know how long that could go on for. And plus, let's be honest, he probably wants to chase that lightweight title. This is the time to make an interim title, especially with two guys who do deserve a title shot. Yair and Emmett both deserve a title shot. So give them the interim and let Volkanovski go have a little flight of fancy at 155 or take time off, whatever he needs.
Yeah, Tay won't get a title fight. We know that. We know that. She got her chance. That's it. But we're not saying because maybe she doesn't care at this point.
I want to say she was always going to be at a disadvantage coming back, especially against someone like Lauren Murphy. There's just something to be said about being on that grind, like that fight grind nonstop for however long it was. Because Tate, I'm sure she was training, staying in incredible shape. Arguably got in better shape than when she was fighting, right? Because you're not focused on training to fight someone. You can just focus on yourself and your health and your diet and all that. So she probably got like an amazing shape. But there's a difference between being in amazing shape and being in fight camps, being in fight prep, preparing other people to fight just for the last few years. And then you like to take that time off while others are on that grind and putting that time in. Very, very, very hard to come back. So I think she's, still a great athlete. Probably still has mentally probably still has the mentality of a fighter, but your body's just not going to have the instincts that it has to have to compete at the level that Murphy and a lot of other flyweights are at right now.
Someone asked if this is a new segment. Absolutely not. It was a new segment over 2 years ago when we started doing this. This is not a new segment. We don't end up on the YT all that often. We usually do it after pay-per-views, but we had some technical difficulties last week, so I figured let's just bring it back. Joe Corbin, Shore versus Yanez. That's a good fight. Burgos,
I like it.
Giga,
I think Yanez has to get a higher ranked opponent though.
Yeah. Do Aldo versus Cruz for crying out loud, maybe
someday, God willing. Someday. We've been asking for it forever, MJ.
More Jack Shore versus Victor Henry Love. Calvin versus Ortega when Brian heals up. I love the fight. I actually favor Calvin Kattar to win.
I favor Kattar as well. Yeah.
But it's close. I mean, if Ortega gets his back or gets that gilly on, it could be tough. Let's see. Tate looks slow in there when watching live against Murphy.
Again, it's what I just said, right? There's a difference between training, which again I'm sure she has been training for whatever even when she was retired, but there's a difference between training and actually training for a fight and actually fighting. It's a huge difference.
This isn't the one, right?
No, this isn't the one. It has one coming. It's coming further down.
All right. To me, Josh, number one contender. No, he's just there. He's just there. Both guys have the same case, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
Stop trying to gaslight people into believing that Josh Emmett is the number one contender. We all like Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett's really good. We all like him.
Josh Emmett should have been excuse me. I was going to say in New York, but on Long Island tonight. He should have been there. He should have been at this card. So that's one of the reasons why he's not getting like the immediate guy. Mm-hmm. Leach versus Ian Machado Gary.
Ian Machado Gary Machado.
No, it's too soon for
way too soon. Li Jingliang would crush Ian Machado Gary right now.
Ortega, when he's able to come back, should move up to lightweight and fight Chandler with Jed Mishu as the special referee.
This is the comment I want to talk about.
That's tremendous.
I love that. I mean, listen, if Chandler wins, it'll have more people criticizing, going like, man, all you do is beat guys coming off of losses, but that's fine because he gets good names coming off of losses. Jed would gladly volunteer. And by the way, I don't know, is it public that he also does not like Brian Ortega, or should say does not like, Brian Ortega's fighting style or whatever. His disdain for Michael Chandler is well documented on our shows.
Ortega as well. Stipe as well.
In his morning report, yes. Stipe and Chandler are regularly catching strays. I didn't know if Ortega was publicly known, but he is not a fan of Brian Ortega at all. Maybe that's why Casey recommended it. And Jed would be like Shoney Carter. Find the clip, guys. Double knockout on YouTube. Shoney Carter called it and just like did this. These two guys ran into each other, and Shoney just like exploded in excitement and joy. So there you go.
Nate Diaz versus Francis Ngannou. ZKC and Oscar in the same weight class. How about that for the king of WTW?
I don't want Oscar and Casey to fight.
I couldn't watch it.
No.
I like both of them very much.
They're pals. I don't want to see them fight.
How about Barbarina versus the King of Kung Fu? I'm sorry, the artist formerly known as the King of Kung Fu, because Li Jingliang is not the King of Kung Fu.
Salikov has to fight his way back to a fight with Barbarina. Sorry, guys.
Yair versus Emmett. Don't order an old fashioned. Mike is tending bar. I actually make a mean old fashioned, by the way. Just throw that out there. I bar much before the radio career started. I did bartend, and I was damn good.
Oh, there's one coming up which I like.
Emmett would get the most reluctant title shot ever. Listen, Josh Emmett's a good fighter, and he's on a good run. He hasn't really sold a lot of people on it yet.
There have been more reluctant title shots than Josh Emmett, believe me, that have had Dana White gnashing his teeth, not wanting to give that person a title shot. Emmett's not up there.
Nate Diaz versus Robbie Lawler, sure. Li Jingliang, just Jake. I thought about this one.
I like it.
2018?
It's been a while.
2018, yeah.
Yes, Jake Matthews is so much better than he was then. Did Jake Matthews win? Jake Matthews won the first fight.
Yep.
But he probably still wants revenge because Li Jingliang tried to take his eye.
That's true. Yes. Ortega versus Chandler Jett. Yep, we already got that one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like no one would take Emmett's trash talk seriously. I mean, listen, you need to find a happy medium. You need to find something where you just find the middle, where it's like you're not being an asshole and you don't sound like you're just like pretending to be someone you're not. You got to find like a happy middle where you're just like we were talking about on the ranking show with Jalen Turner. Like, we don't need Jalen Turner to be like, hey, MFer, you stole everything I worked for. I want to fight your ass. You see, be like, hey, it'd be fun. Like, I think like a fight with me and Justin Gaethje would just be awesome. So let's just fight. Like, that's a respectful call out. And you're not overshooting your shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just do that. You don't have to be somewhat outside of yourself. Diaz versus Holland. Emmett more active versus active guys.
Okay.
Emmett didn't beat Cater. I think that's where the reluctance comes
That's part
from.
of it. That's part of it. But I mean, that's Again, there's a bunch of reasons why Emmett's just not at the top of their list. But certainly that's such a close fight.
Old fashioned. I gotta remember how to actually make it. But it's a cherry, some orange, a little bit of sugar, and you take the little thing and you grind it on down. You put a little ice in there, a little bit of bourbon, put a little bit of sweet vermouth in there. A little stir, then you're good. It's a good time. I have to remember, I haven't made it I haven't made a cocktail in a while. The only cocktail I've made in the last couple of years is a pumpkin martini, because I made a really good one at the place. But my mom loves the pumpkin martini. So the pumpkin liqueur that goes in the pumpkin martinis is a very seasonal thing. So when it comes out, she grabs it. And anytime I go and visit them, she's like, "Oh, Michael, you got to make me a pumpkin martini. It's so delicious. I just got to have a pumpkin martini. I got to have a pumpkin martini."
So Boston-y.
Oh, yeah. She's wicked Boston.
Let me read something from David Schmidt here on Twitter, because I said I would. They sent me this. David Schmidt was actually really smart. They sent me their picks for all the fighters at the beginning of the week. And so in case whoever won, then they would be covered. But I told them, remind me. Because I will definitely forget. Thankfully, they just sent revised picks. So, David, I do want to read your picks. Rodriguez, Yair versus Movsar. Boy, Movsar would jump at that opportunity. He would love to get a fight with Yair Rodriguez. Lemos versus Marina Rodriguez. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, Mike, Rodriguez, Marina's probably, she wants to fight somebody, so she wouldn't say no. Did this come up? Burgos versus Zombie.
Damn, that's fun.
That would have to be, again, I don't know where, I can't speak for Zombie's mental state. It does feel like he is on his way out based on his last fight, the fight with Volkanovski. I think he was very discouraged by it. He's a very honest guy, Zombie, in his interviews and stuff. He's pretty forthcoming with how he feels about things. And it did sound like he's kind of he had to reassess, sort of where he is right now. He's up there in years, especially in fight years. But that might be a good way to go out, because that would just be a super fun fight. And he's not going to dominate Zombie on the ground like he did Jourdain, because Zombie's got a really strong ground game.
Did Dana say this?
Did
Dana say this?
Let me think.
Dana saying Colby told me he would fight if it. Was this?
I don't know.
Today, was it?
I might have missed it, probably, because he was talking about Poirier, and I don't know. There was all kind of stuff. I kind of blanked that one out. I was having to write up Josh Emmett quotes. So not Josh Emmett, quotes about Josh Emmett and quotes about the Saturday's main event. So I might have missed that.
Burgos or Rosa? I think Burgos is a little too far ahead.
That's eerie. I was literally just looking at that. So David Schmidt also recommended that. Oh, no. Burgos versus Rosa. No, I'm sorry. David Schmidt recommended Algeo versus Orosa, which I think we've brought up before many times.
Onama, I want Onama versus Rosa. That's the one. Give me I think he's ready for the Rosa test. And listen, if you want to throw Algeo in there with the Rosa to give him that test, that's fine as well. I'm okay with that.
Another Stoltzfus versus Jurek. People really want to see Dustin on Dusko. There's a UFC. I really hope the UFC pays attention to these things, because I mean, these our listeners just make these money matchups, and I hope they don't let them go to waste. So
Burgos signs a contract with his blood. So I guess Dana did say that about Colby. I don't know if it was today at the presser. Listen, I've said this many times. Colby's a very popular name on Heck of a Morning. Comes up all the time, and I've heard people say, "Oh, Colby was scared to fight Chimaev." Absolutely not true. And I've said this a million, and I stand by this. Colby would have taken that fight in 5 seconds. Now, we have a lot going on, obviously, behind the scenes with this whole Masvidal thing, the allegations, and there's talks of brain injuries from the alleged attack, is all this. Like, so I feel like Colby's just not going to be fighting until this is all settled. So, and I believe they're going to court. I believe the trial is supposed to begin next month, and this could all be settled before that even happens. So I think as soon as this trial and all this is done, maybe we'll see Colby back in there. But I mean, honestly, like, it's Colby Poirier. Like, if you just got to do something fun, you do. I mean, Colby Chimaev actually makes all the sense in the world, but I have a feeling with all this Nate stuff going on, that if they can do, and I have no insights to this whatsoever, that if they could do the Nate Chimaev fight, they're going to do the Nate Chimaev fight. When? I have no idea. How? I have no idea. But just do it. Nate will take it.
Just do it.
Nate will take it. He'll probably lose, but he'll like land one right hand and he'll be like, see, I won.
Diaz rules. I won by Diaz rules. You didn't finish me. I hurt you once. Emilio on Twitter at Hellguy1313. Just so I want to read this one. Full disclosure, I'm matchmaking for Shane and Charles as if the judges had made the correct decision, with Charles getting the W and Shane getting the L, because that's actually what happened. The judges had too much New York pizza and should have been deemed unfit to work. So he says, loser Shane Burgos versus Joe Anderson Brito, and winner Charles Jourdain versus the Yusuf Giga loser.
Listen, I got no issue if you scored the fight for Charles Jourdain. I have no issue with it. I thought the first round was super close. I scored it for Burgos, but if you scored it for Jourdain, that's fine. Second was clear for Burgos. Third was clear for Jourdain. However, we have to keep in mind that there was some cheating going on. There were some fence grabs. There were multiple fence grabs. And that third round was bad. Like, it changed everything. That barrage that happened in the final 3 minutes of the third round doesn't happen if Charles Jourdain doesn't grab the fence or if it's called. And we had a debate about this on the post-fight show, AK, and we say this all the time, and people think we're just like, we're awful and we're just promoting cheating, but why not just cheat all the time? Like, just cheat. No one's going, like, it's not cheat. It's actually not cheating if no one calls it. It's just fine. Like, Keith Peterson, like, looked right at it. And all he did was, like, slap the hand away after Jourdain pulled himself back up and didn't do anything about it. Nope. And then when Jourdain changed the position, he grabbed the fence again and Peterson missed it. So, like, we were talking about whether or not, like, you just take points for everything. Like, just take points for everything and nobody will do it anymore. And then Casey's like, well, not all things should be treated the same. Like, an eye poke should be a point. Kicking the ding ding should be a point. But like a fence grab, which is like a natural reaction, should be a point. So my thing would be just, if Burgos is about to get a takedown and Charles Jourdain grabs the fence, which he did clearly, then Keith Peterson says, okay, we already warned you in the back, can't grab the fence. Stop the action. Charles, get your ass on the mat, on your back. Shane, get on top of him, go. Like, that should be how you do it. This just blatant accepting of nonsense from a guy who's known to not accept any nonsense whatsoever, to allow all of this nonsense to happen. It's just egregious and it's horrible. So, but listen, I don't blame Charles Jourdain for this. I don't blame him for grabbing the fence, because everyone should grab the fence, because they ain't going to do anything about it. Rules rule, right, AK?
Rules rule. By the way, an off night for Keith Peterson. In addition to that whole debacle you just described, I did not enjoy his handling of the Herbert Burns Algeo situation. I don't know why he didn't just wave that fight off in round one, when Burns essentially just like, just give me a minute, give me a minute to get up. Tonight. I didn't mind it. Like, he could have stopped it in round one. He didn't. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, there's a very awkward situation. But then in the second, he took a long time, as Burns was either exhausted or clearly injured. It sounds like he may have re-aggravated a knee injury. Keith Pearson waited a long time to call that fight. I am really not sure why. That was just bizarre. Really, really oddly handled all around. Even his corner. I'm sorry, Gilbert Burns. I know you want the best for your brother, but even then, I'm surprised that they made him go out, because he had no interest in wanting to come out for another round. So it just wasn't a great scene. I want to, sorry, I got a lot of people to shout here. I didn't want to read them all, but just some good comments. Liam Perry on Twitter, I like what he said here. Biggest travesty of the night, not having Shore on the London card next week. Guys, sometimes they can't, pick what fights cards they end up on, all right? Good fight booking, bad venue booking. I don't like the O'Malley call out. He'll most likely pass O'Malley in the rankings, talking about Ricky Simone after this, and should be looking further of the division, in my opinion. If they make the fight, I'll watch it, though I personally think he should fight Font. Font holds the number 7 ranking, not in our ranking, I don't think anyway, and it's not 2 fights good. Prime opportunity to aim higher. And then Jack Shore versus Cody Stamen.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's fine. That's fine.
That part's really good.
But that would be like Cody Stamen. If they book that fight, Cody Stamen, like start to finish to begin a UFC career in any division, boy, his resume is about as tough as you could possibly get. Mm-hmm. Now, the Eddie Wineland fight was like the first time that you felt like, okay, like Cody's a big favorite in this fight, but every other fight has just been like just a really tough fight. Like just the dudes that nobody else wants to fight. It seems like Cody's fighting them. So then you had Jack Shore to the mix. That's probably where it could end up, honestly. So I wouldn't mind that fight.
Mike, how do you like? I think this is going down next week, right? Dustin Jacoby. This is from Thomas Collins. Dustin Jacoby versus the winner of Alexander Gustafsson, Nikita Krylov.
If Gus wins, yeah, that makes sense.
What about Krylov? Krylov's kind of around the top 15.
Doesn't do it for me because Dominic Reyes is the correct answer. However,
you're right. Why do I even bring up other? Yeah.
However, if a guy like again, another former title challenger, guy who gave John Jones a very tough fight, guy with a name, Gustafsson has a name still. I think that's okay. I think Jacoby would be excited about that, but I like the Reyes fight the best. Ricky versus Petr Yan. What do you think about that, AK?
I'd love it. I mean, I think if you're Yan, you're probably being a little bit pickier about your fights now. You probably only want to fight guys who are already in the top 5 or already in the top 10.
But nobody's there. Nobody's
it's true.
left.
It's true. And the other thing with Petr Yan is you probably feel like you're only one good win away from getting another crack at Aljo. Because again, the first fight is almost like a win. It was a win for Aljo and a very legitimate win. Like, I mean, as far as like, I don't say, oh, it didn't count, disqualification. That's a win in your book and you got the title. But I mean, it wasn't really like a conclusive win for Aljo. I mean, we certainly can't call it that. So if people want to like disregard the result of the first fight, the second fight was also very close. Then I'm more than happy to see them run it back again. They're both also just great fighters. So yeah, if you're Yan, you really, I guess, fight anyone and you think I get one win, I get another shot. I don't know.
What's No Time doing? No Time is getting ready to fight next week. He's fighting Paul Craig, UFC London.
David, we just said this at the beginning of the show, man. Come on, dude. Let me read another comment here.
Yeah, we'll do one more and then we got to
okay. Barry O'Reilly, our pal in Ireland. Bill Aljo versus Alex Caceres. I like that. I also feel like this one. I don't know I think other people have thrown this out. Puna versus Andre Petrosky. I do think that is the right test for Petrosky at this stage of his career.
I like that one. Yeah, I got like a couple of those. It's a good one.
Definite clash of styles for sure. But I do like that matchup a lot. So thank you, Barry. Barry sent in a lot of great picks and comments. I will read this all later, Barry. So thank you for that.
Okay, I think we're good here. Let me. This was actually like the thing that cut us off last week, but I feel confident. I think we're in a good place. It's bright, stars are shining, the moon is out, it's clear as a bell, and it's very hot here. So thank you very much for joining us. Next week will not be live. We will have a recorded show. I don't know when it's going to happen. It'll happen sometime on Sunday. I will not be around for the preview show or anything on Saturday because I will not be in town. Family things. I have to fly home to Boston next weekend, but UFC London is a great card. We got Curtis Blades, Tommy Aspinall, big one in the heavyweight division. Jack Hermanson versus the Action Man, Chris Curtis. In the co-main event, we get Paddy Pimblett versus Jordan Levitt, which is probably the quote-unquote people's main event. The aforementioned Nikita Krylov, Alexander Gustafsson fight, Molly McCann versus Hannah Goldie, Paul Craig, Volkan Ozdemir, Mark Casey, Demir Hadzovic, Nathaniel Wood, moving up to 145 to take on another bantamweight who is moving up to 145 for this fight, and Charles Boston Strong Rosa, Makwan Amir Khani, Jonathan Pierce. That's a great fight. Looking forward to that one. Muhammad Bahayev is back against Charles Johnson, Jai Herbert, Kyle Nelson, Mandy Bohm versus Victoria Leonardo. Nicholas Dalby is back against Claudio Silva, and Ludovits Klein moves from UFC 277 to this card because Ignacio Bahamontes had visa issues. So now Ludovic Klein fights next Saturday. Mason Jones gets his wish and will fight at UFC London. So this is a pretty good card. And again, early day MMA, which just makes us all very happy, fresh, and in a much better mood, AK.
Yes.
What do you think of this card?
It has a tall order because, listen, I understand the UFC was super eager to go back to London because that first London card was one of the best fight nights we've ever seen. Maybe the best fight night of the year. Maybe the best fight card of the year. I don't know. I got to go, I'll have to go back and look at some of the great shows we've had this year, and there have been plenty. But boy, that first, that really, I should say, not just visit, but the return to London for the first time, of course, in years because of, COVID happened and they weren't able to go there. Just could not have gone better. Patty Pimblett looked like a star. Molly McCann looked like a star. Tommy Aspinall looked like a star. And I'll be honest, I don't know how they're going to be able to match that. I don't think it's all going to strike again. But if it does, if Tommy Aspinall can beat Curtis Blades, I mean, the sky is the limit for this next generation of UK fighters. It could be a really, really incredible show and also a sign of things to come.
All right. Well, we will matchmake following that card next week. But thank you very much for AK. I am Mike Heck. Always remember the golden rule. Don't take this stuff too seriously. MMA is supposed to be fun, and we will have more fun right here next week on to the next one, the podcast. Thank you very much. Get some sleep, everybody. Good night.